Guest who's joining us on the broadcast, Colonel Rohit Dev, who's a defense and security expert, is with us. Also with us is Manju Seth, who's a former diplomat. Manju, let me begin with you. When it is about this eye-to-eye naval drill that India is conducting, and of course there are some sort of developments that are coming in from the Pakistani side, how does one read this development?
Absolutely, this is not a very happy situation. And if I mean, both sides have to exercise restraint, and so far there is restraint, and we can only, we don't know how things are going to pan out because, you know, the way the Pakistanis are behaving and they are feeling sort of tied down a bit, but also the fact that they have conducted these, and now ISI has a new, the ISI chief is now the NSA, so he's going to be directing both the response as well as the strategy for their response to India. And they are going on saying that India is going to attack, India is going to attack. And as a result, today we found that the US is also saying that we've spoken to them to exercise restraint, to de-escalate, etc. I think Pakistan does, feel a bit, the way they've been, they're on the back foot, the way they're being, LOC and the international border, there are skirmishes and going on, breaching the ceasefire repeatedly. And India has to respond, but how and when respond at our choosing. But of course, we have to see.
So, Colonel Dev, I'd like to understand from you, these small arms fires that we learn of, constantly breaching the ceasefire along the line of control, and this has been happening not just yesterday, this has been happening for a few days now, right after and following the Pahalgam terror attacks. So, now that Indian Navy is on its toes, they are conducting these naval drills. How does one see this as a possible escalation? We would see sometime forward movement of the troops. What does it look like from here on?
Right. So let me put it into a different perspective.
Okay.
It is in Pakistan's interest that they have a preemptive, they have some measure in which they can provoke us to become offensive. Because the moment that happens, it's a small skirmish. And then they will run to all the world bodies and countries and try to get that, so-called ceasefire and make this entire incident die down. That's not the game which India should play. And I'm very sure we're not playing into their hands. So what we are doing is, we are trying to do the correct geopolitical posturing. It takes time before you launch the military in any decisive way. So what's going to go and happen? If you see the Indus Water Treaty held in abeyance as a statement, obviously it's very difficult to control water, stop and go at every day's notice. It can't happen. Everybody understands. But the sentence of abeyance is also linked with the Arabian Sea posturing of India. Both are to test the elasticity of the Chinese help coming into Pakistan.
Okay.
I'll tell you how. The trade warfare between US and China is being leveraged very, very beautifully by our, country's leadership. And I think that's where people used to say 2 decades ago that if you stop as a higher appearance trade water going into Pakistan, there will be a similar repercussion on the upper appearance trade being China to you as India. That is what is this IWT abeyance testing. Coupled with that is the Arabian Sea posturing. It started a few days back itself. When you saw our fleet moving there, I can't say from where and to where, but they moved out pretty early before this news. And that is also to make sure that people understand that who has got the connectivity to delay supply lines going into Pakistan from the Arabian Sea. That is the metal which we are testing in terms of the geopolitics. Meanwhile, the MEA is very proactively posturing and getting friends on our side.
Okay.
So you may have conversations with various countries. The naysayers on the fence, which we have to twist, is some Middle Eastern countries, including Turkey and others. And that is where the current focus is. The focus also is that no other country should be able to pump in anything, useful for Pakistan military today. So they are at a particular stockpile level of artillery, air force, and everything else. They don't have a war fighting ability more than, just let us for the viewer's side, less than a week. It's much lesser, but I will just say less than a week so that viewers understand what the perspective is. Whereas the Indian capability is higher. So we are now trying to go to our friends. We are getting very, very niche weapons and precision, guided munitions and also designation material and gadgets from our friends. So who are the friends? People can guess. But I think that's what we are doing currently. So if you see the geopolitical posturing, if you see the testing of the illustrative band of the Chinese towards Pakistan, the preemptive is an option which Pakistan, and I'm saying it with a lot of background historical perspective of how Pakistan does the preemptives. The aim is get into a turmoil like a pig in the mud, and then try to say that I'm being harmed. That's the statement of the Pakistanis for the last 4 decades. India has to be very, very careful not to fall into that narrative. Pakistan will do whatever necessary to make that happen. It also stems. It
Right.
also stems, and say this one little point is
Sure.
about the ideological drive of the Pakistani army. And I tell
Okay.
it to every journalist and media, please read the book called The Quranic Concept of War by Brigadier Malik. It was written during Zia-ul-Haq's time.
Okay.
Each and every sentence, if you interpret, the preemptive posturing is part of that ideological drive which Pakistan has towards
Okay.
anybody who's more competent. We are 10 times more in
Okay.
GDP
And maybe
in
that
putting the
also
money.
explains the new appointment. Colonel Dev, I'll come to you in just a bit, but